What's up, guys? Welcome back to Off the Track. Super excited for another episode. I am Davey, also known as GTR Kicker in the community, and I'm joined by my good friend Jason, also known as DRR Roadkill. How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
As always.
Yeah, cool. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this week.
Lots of things.
First up on the agenda, all right, we have some news in the community. Lots of news. This week, we had TX3 Hard BR, formerly known as JSR Zoom, actually, now joining Sauber Esports as Sauber Zoom, so I'm assuming this is under contract. So this is pretty big. We see another gaming company coming in and stealing another community team driver. So, yeah.
It seems to me a bit like the F1 silly season where all the drivers change teams for seemingly no reason. Everyone's just jumping ship.
Yeah, definitely a lot of movement going around.
It's exciting, though.
Definitely a lot of movement going around. So we'll be be curious to see how he does. Moving forward with them, one of the top drivers in Forza. So good for him. In other news, we can kind of look at the community stuff that we had going on this week. There's only one that we had. This week we had the Oro Clio Cup. So these are just rounds 1 and 2. We haven't incorporated the drop round yet because it's only 2 rounds. So these are just provisional. But as of the first 2 rounds, we got Ben Smith up top. Caesar's ran through him pretty well. And Warwick
so
as well
you're
in
up there in the
5.
top 6?
Yeah. Doing alright. Mitch actually swept the first two races.
If you look at poles and fastest laps, none of those top 16s have ever been on pole or had a fastest lap, which is interesting. So I assume that the guys a bit further down are probably going to come through when drop rounds start being implemented.
Yeah, I would assume so, yeah. So, what else do we got here? So, I mean, looking pretty solid. We also have team standings. Can I find those? Oh, there they are. Yes, team standings. There we go. Team standings, and we have, looks like Legion GTR is up top. My team right there. Woohoo, me, Caesar, and Tactical. So, 5-point lead on
followed pretty
on
closely by FTRB and FTRA. And FTRB actually outscoring FTRA for once. And they're only 5 points behind your team, so you're not exactly sailing away there.
Yeah, it's a little creepy. They're kind of creeping in there. So, yeah, so good stuff there. In other news, we have one of the new series coming up. Delta Online Racing is putting on 60 years of touring cars, different cars every week. I think it's pretty cool the way they're kind of setting it up. They got the whole shebang of history of BTCC, and it should be pretty exciting. So we're going to cover that for you guys, so you can keep up with that.
I like retro touring cars. I think a lot of people that are really into motorsports can appreciate the retro racing, like 80s, 90s, even like late 70s. A lot of that stuff was hella dangerous. So it's always pretty fun to be able to do it in a nice, safe environment of pixels.
For sure, yeah. I think it'll be really cool to follow that series. We're going to be covering closely the first Delta event. So they do a great job. They do they support us as well. They do a great job of promoting our stuff on Twitter and stuff like that. So they got a great group of guys that run that organization. So if you guys want to get signed up, definitely go sign up for those touring cars, man. They should be fun. I'm thinking about it as well. Maybe running those. So we'll see.
I've just thought about it.
Cool. Guys, just want to point out before we bring McQueen on, he's about to come on here in a second, that this show almost didn't happen this week. We had a lot of technical difficulties. So, the way this is running right now, it's we're very fortunate that we're able to get this up and running. So, praying to those internet gods and stuff like that. So,
you worked really hard. Well done.
Dude, this show isn't possible without a bunch of people, especially the support from Legion and GTR. So, got to thank those guys tremendously. GT Omega, we got to thank them. And then, of course, got to thank you for, doing all that you do for this show. So, the show wouldn't be possible without all those people, man. Seriously, it wouldn't. So,
yeah.
All right, well, you guys all know who's about to come on next. He is formerly known as AMS McQueen, now known as McQueen FM7, actually, and I believe he's got a gamer change coming as well. McQueen, how are you, man?
Pretty sure it's already changed. But, yeah.
It's already changed, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, though. So
McQueen, great to
now to get on to it.
yeah, man, great to have you on this week. So why don't you? I think you have an announcement that you made. Why don't you tell our viewers if they're not already aware?
Oh, what I had to tell them? You're going to put all the work on me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Team Highlands Racing with my old teammate Vanquish, and we're going to dominate. First and second day.
Instant smack talk, like straight away, right into it.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, so that's awesome,
I'm
man.
the best one in NA, obviously.
I believe.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, so McQueen joining THR now. He's known as THR Skyline now. He's not McQueen anymore. No more memes from Scott
more
Cole.
Memes. No.
No more ka-chow.
That was the very first thing that Moshi told me whenever I joined the chat. It was ka-chow, and as soon as he said that, I knew it was a bad idea right then and there. And it all just went downhill from there.
I didn't think it was that bad of a gamer tag, to be honest. I didn't think
it wouldn't be that bad of a gamer tag if all the stupid memes didn't come out. Like Uganda.
Yeah, it's only the meme content surrounding the name that makes it horrible.
So,
Absolutely.
When I was doing the tour of 24 hours at Daytona, like whenever Dr. Bex was flapping me, because he was in prototype and I was in GT, he'd always be like, the Queen. And then Sebring, I was calling me AMS McQueef. And then never called me AMS McQueer. And I mean,
yeah.
it's going to be nothing but problems.
That's so funny.
Had to change.
Kick is thinking about a name change himself. I hear he's got a couple of names for himself that get thrown around.
Change a lot.
I'm not gonna do that. I just came up with names that I thought maybe would be in the running if I were going to change my gamer tag. They're all pretty
has
bad.
those kinds of names, like in general.
I like GTR Purple and Apple though.
That was not one of them.
Really suit me. I know.
That was one of them. Scout's Honor.
Like, should I keep the Commando name or should I go as like JSR Cursed or JSR Jinxed or something? And it's like stick with Commando.
Oh yeah.
You have good tags already.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Venom is the
they
best
change
one.
them into being worse. Mine have always been bad ideas, so hopefully I can keep this one.
I think Venom is the best one, to be honest. I don't think that there's a better one out there than Venom. That's pretty dope.
I don't think so because there's two Venoms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There are two Venoms.
Lightning's a good name. I like Lightning. Lightning's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Lightning,
like,
is a good one. As long as you're the first Lightning.
I feel like
then someone else thinks Lightning's a good idea, and then all of a sudden you get confusion.
I feel like if someone were named Lightning and they weren't as fast as him, I feel like it'd be a dumb gamer tag. But because he's fast,
no,
it's
like,
Because what happens is that like people will always think that he's the actual Lightning, then he has to explain to someone, "No, I'm the slower one." You're probably thinking of him.
You see me longer when you look at a thunderstorm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, one of the things we wanted to talk about this week was sort of, we're kind of seeing this trend continue with these community teams kind of losing their top drivers, and now they're going into these gaming companies and stuff like that. Now with HardBR going with Sauber as Zoom, and now obviously we've got the all these other ones that have come up. Is this, we touched on this with Box a little bit, but do you guys think that this is the direction that it should be heading, and this is good, and our community team's gonna start dying? Like, that's the thing. Like DRR and so like SFM, like are we gonna start seeing those teams dwindling down?
The main teams that are at risk of dying, or like quote unquote dying, are the ones that have top tier drivers like JSR, F4H, AMS already kind of died in that respect. I mean, they're still around, but they've lost like 6 drivers, including me. So that was a massive blow. Only time's going to tell if any other team, unfortunately, has to go through that, because it's always tough. It really is. The the main direction that I see it at the moment is that teams are either going to be able to pay their drivers or they're not. And I think some teams are taking this into consideration. They are taking steps to try to be able to do that in the future. But, I mean, with how things have been going lately, it's all unpredictable. So, I mean, we're just going to have to, like, look at the next few months and see what happens. It's definitely a very important month for Forza in that respect.
Jason?
Look, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's good for like the esports side of things to have a lot of pro teams come in and a lot of money sort of get thrown at this game.
For sure, yeah.
It sounds, that sounds like it's a positive thing. But yeah, the community teams might die, but they'll like resurface under different names with different drivers. Like, you know, the more popular the game gets, the more people are going to be like trying to be good, or trying to get good, whatever you want to say. And I think that a lot of new teams, a lot of new drivers will come through, and it'll sort of stay at the same level. Maybe not the same level it is now, because there's a lot of pro drivers still racing the community events. But I think it'll be fine. I think it'll just take a little bit of a transition period, and then we'll be back to normal, or moderately.
Community teams be a thing. It's just that how high of a level they can possibly be is going to change. That's basically what it is.
One of the tweets I saw from somebody was they said that community teams are going to start turning into the more so of the ability to spot talent. So you're going to have all these pro drivers who are going to be on these teams, and then, you know, the guys that are at the top of their community team are going to start getting looks from the pro guys.
They're just going to end up being feeder teams that like people can go through, you know, improve their pace, race with guys that are a similar pace to them, and that's probably what's going to happen is if they sort of start to excel and become like the head team member or like the fastest guy on their team, they're just going to get looked at by a pro team and be like, yes, this guy's got clear talent and he's improving. So then he gets picked up by a pro team. That's probably what's going to happen in my opinion.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's kind of seems like the way that most games go when they transition to esports.
Yeah,
I think all that's happened right now is that, like, you know, we used to consider these community teams at the top of the pinnacle of Forza Motorsport. Now we just added like just one extra level. That's literally what it is.
The ceiling has just been increased, basically, or just been changed names more than anything.
Yeah. So yeah, I would agree. I think that's I think it's a good direction.
I don't think it's going to negatively impact the game for very long. I mean, I know there's a lot of transition now, but it's because we're currently in a transition of new esports. We're picking up. So
I agree. Yeah. So I kind of want to get a little bit personal with McQueen now. Can you we got to ask everybody this. How did you get into Forza? And how did you get so fast?
What was your first Forza game? Yeah.
This is actually a really long story. It's kind of hilarious. When I went, I used to go to college out of state, and then when I didn't want to go there anymore, because what happened was all the friend group that I had literally left for completely stupid reasons. One of them, their parents were in trouble for tax evasion, so he had to leave. One of them got arrested and got expelled from the campus.
All right.
One of them
that'll happen.
Failed out.
You got some great friends, man.
The person left, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, why the hell am I still here? Because literally all my friends group left. So I just went back home, went to community college. By that time, I randomly discovered Super GT on YouTube. And before, I've been playing racing games all my life, but I never actually played them online because I didn't think I was good enough. I was afraid I was just gonna crash people. But then I see his Forza 6 videos, and everybody else was just crashing each other. So I'm like, wait. I can do this. So
Forza 6 was your first title?
Yeah, well, my first Forza title was technically Forza 4, but I never played that online, though.
Yep. Same here, man. Same here.
So I never knew anything about the teams or tuning
the community and stuff
I upgraded whatever the card told me to, and then I just did career.
I did career mode. Yep, that was the Forza 4 career mode. OG, man.
And obviously I wasn't fast because there was no way to know how fast or slow you were if you're not online. I I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, like the only thing you could judge off was like the hard difficulty or whatever, like the max
No,
difficulty,
Yeah.
which was like pro. But it was terrible. It was absolutely tragic. Not even like real.
the only thing you can
Not
judge
even
is
really, yeah.
basically whether you stay on the track or not. That's
No,
literally
yeah.
it. I mean, if you can like lap your car once and not hit a wall, like you're pretty much a god in terms of racing.
Yeah.
All right, so
That's
once that happened, I mean, I also discovered his tutorials for ABS off, manual with clutch, and basically I was just learning how the game worked at that point. Then I ended up going into online hoppers. Didn't do that bad at first. Then I ended up just kept improving from there. I ended up doing a lot of rivals as well. Like, I think rivals were one of the main things that
I missed out on rivals.
yeah. Like, one day I just decided, like, that I wanted to be fast, because I'd seen some of the other faster guys before. I didn't know much about them. All I knew is that they had 3 letters in front of their name, and they were just killing everybody in lobbies. So I just decided, like, I just picked a random car, a random track. I think it was, like, the A-Class 33 Stradale at Sebring, and just lapped it until I got a top 100. And then once I got that one, I just kept, like,
Just
figuring
rinse
out,
repeat
like,
on every track.
to do and just improve over and over and over again. Like, the times were kind of crap in terms of like how competitive they were on the boards, because like not everybody tried on them. You could tell because like most of the times were like when the game was like released. But it kept me improving though, and it helped me like get the mentality to like fix my lap times, fix what I'm doing wrong. And then
that's something I really thought I should have done back in Forza 6.
Yeah, one day I got noticed by a random guy called THR Sierra. Well, that was back when it was called DR. It was actually the team that you're on, Roadkill.
Yeah, it was DR. That's what that's what happened.
Yeah, he messaged me randomly online, and he said, "Hey man, you're fast." I don't remember exactly what he said, but he essentially asked me to be on the team. I said yes. So that was my very first team I've ever been on. At the time, it didn't require a gamer tag change, so like I just kept like the gamer tag that I currently had, but I just signed up on Tora under them. I think I did the first round of British GT that year. It was only like a fall series. There was like 3 of them, and I somehow snuck into Lobby A. Like I think I was like 10th overall. I don't remember the race exactly. I think they had people like Breeze, super fast guy in GT, had Diablo, had HCR Motorhead. Trying to think of who else. Lamb Chop was in there. He's FTR.
Oh, I've raced Lamb Chop. He does alright.
Yeah. Another one, AMS Matt was in there, or Supreme as he's now known. He was also in there. But yeah, there were like lots of fast guys, and they just like completely smacked me. I was just happy to make A.
Yeah, I remember my first community race. It was a bit like that. I even lagged into turn 1 and crashed into a whole bunch of people. It was great.
I remember that. Oh man, good stuff.
We all start from somewhere, right? I mean,
That's right.
Better.
Yeah.
You can only get better if that happens, because then if you don't crash, you're like, hey, I improved.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like I crashed like by poor driving. Everyone just lagged and just drove off the track, and I was like, "Oh, good, I can't see anybody."
Off the track. Off the track. You said off the track. Anyways.
Said the name of the show on the show. It's a shameless name drop.
I think we're encouraging dirty driving by calling the show off the track.
Oh no, we're encouraging trying really hard, because when you try hard, you go off the track.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
if you're not crashing, you're not trying hard enough. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
All right. So after I did the DRR, a random guy that a lot of fast guys who are older might know him is ACR Jones, a team called Racing. They actually weren't even that competitive a team. All they ever did was like just randomly just go around in S-Class lobbies and race. But they had 3 letters in front of their name, and they knew people, so I decided to join them. And then that's where I met Dotson too. Like Dotson, you think that his like racecraft is bad now. He's cleaned up, but like back then it was so much worse, dude.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that sometimes. Yeah.
Like that, like the Dotson dive bomb meme pretty much started with like all the way back in like late 2016, early 2017. Like that's
I remember watching old school Super GT videos, and he's like, "Check out this Datsun dive bomb right here," and the guy's just flying in like 3 car lengths behind, just like, I can make this fast happen.
Oh man, one of my favorite moments that like Melish, taught him how to drive with TCS on, because they were doing like some sort of like V8 supercar lead with TCS, and Datsun used to be like a strictly no TCS driver. But in the process of it, Mellish introduced him to the stupidest car on the planet. It was like a 5.9 handling power Maserati Tipo that was difficult to drive. Like
I see.
Fast as well. I think the top speed was like 220 miles an hour or something like that. It was OP at tracks like Spa or Road America, but it was super hard to drive.
Yeah.
Well, he eventually learned how to drive it in a very, very like okay manner, and he ended up hitting people off the track in the process because it was so difficult to control. I remember the time though. He hit Jeweler going into like the bump at Road America. You know what I'm talking about, right? The one, like, you know, the alternate version. Like where
yeah.
He dives in there. He takes out Jeweler, and they got into like a massive argument. It was absolutely hilarious. It ended up with Datsun just like leaving the party, and he's like, "There will be no more Datsun." And he threatened to like make an alternate account. And then like 2 weeks later, he was back. So. Obviously, there was still a Datsun. I love you, John.
I think, yeah.
Feel like I have to point that
out. So this week, Wednesday Showdowns, we had lots of action going on. So we're going to go over a couple of the incidents that occurred. First thing up is the one that you were involved with, actually, Ryan. So... after this incident, I'm going to play the replay here in a second, but after this accident, Harmonic took to the chat and said that you and Vanquish drive like it's a ghost race. So,
are you really starting beef here? Oh my gosh.
So here's the replay, so that people, if you guys haven't seen it yet, this is what happened in the NA Wednesday Showdown reverse grid at race number 3.
I have some slow-mo of the start because these cars are so fast it was difficult to see what was happening, but we saw a bunch of incidents here. We saw
fantastic car and track combination,
and McQueen getting into each other, and Beck and Vanquish is the only one who survived from this kerfuffle. I think we're going to look at this a little bit slower so you can see this in slow motion. There is Harmonic. I don't know if he touched or McQueen got loose off the curb or something. But then you see contact between Vanquish and Bex right there.
The live stream, and they were saying that they weren't sure if there was contact between you and Harmonic to set you off. Did you start to spin on the curb, or was there contact? According to you, from your point of view.
Was after the first like turn and like turn 3. You can know how there's like this tire wall on like the inside of the track.
Yeah.
But Bex hit that, and he was like, I think he started out in second. So he was going super, super, super slow. And I knew that Vanquish was coming on the outside. So I knew they were going to collide. Now, last week, well, not last week, but the week before that, on the reverse grid race at, what was it, Road America and the Lola, I tried the slow-mo of the start. I tried to like just basically plow through it and try to see if I can get past the traffic before like a wreck ended up happening. And what ended up happening was Tri passed and straddled each other, and he went into my line, and it caused me to switch. And then someone hit me from the back because I started losing momentum, and then I ended up crashing. So this week, when I was going into this race, I'm like, okay, I am not going to be right behind anybody else, because I'm just going to hit them, I'm just going to twitch, and I'm just going to wreck. And it won't even be my fault. So I tried to give myself a bit of distance, and then I ended up lifting off like a little bit more. I didn't accelerate right away, and it caused Harmonic to hit me. And the reason why I think he hit me was because Harmonic had insane pace in that salver. And I mean, like, anyone knows in Forza that, like, if you're in the reverse grid race, you need to pass right away. Otherwise, you're stuck behind someone a really long time. So Harmonic was going to win this race. He had to get by me. He had to get by me now. But, I mean, he just ended up hitting me, and we ended up just colliding. I mean, neither of us ended up getting a penalty for that. So, I mean, I think...
Yeah, a bit too eager. More of a race incident than
Vanquish.
Like, malicious, yeah.
Vanquish ended up getting a penalty, actually.
Yeah, Vanquish got a penalty for that incident. He recently got it overturned, though. He sent it
I did hear about that. Yes.
Yeah. Because what happened was, the way that Bex was going, like, super slow, you could argue it basically unsettled the field. He tried to pass, and they ended up colliding a bit. It caused Vanquish to get unsettled, but he went back on the track, and it caused Bex to go off the track. But the good thing is it got reversed. So that means that, he's now the winner of the Wednesday Showdown.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, good for him. So.
But yeah, I mean, naturally, I can understand why Harmonic was pretty angry because, again, I would definitely consider him one of like the 3 people in that lobby to really win that race. Like, Venom's one of them, Tommy's one of them, and then Harmonic is the other one. He had insane pace.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just interesting because they were the announcers like Scott Cole and Allie. They were kind of just like, I don't even remember what their reaction was, but they were just kind of like, I don't even know. Do you remember what they said, Jason?
Yeah, they said a lot of stuff that was like, "Oh, McQueen, surprise, surprise, is involved in this accident," and it seemed really biased against you. And I was like, "This doesn't seem like the McQueen that I've raced with." I was like, "What are you guys on about?"
Yeah, the thing about Scott Cole, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that he commentates like so many other different games, but he doesn't really know like a lot of people in the Forza community but outside of what he sees in the Wednesday Showdowns. And I think he's the kind of person where he just gets an idea in his head about how a guy drives or how a guy plays, and once he gets it, it pretty much sticks. So because I got and I don't even disclose why I got the penalty, I therefore must be a wrecker. Like there was this one time where they were playing a clip of me wrecking Lightning in the IndyCar, but that was because of a glitch. Because I couldn't I could see Lightning, but he was ghosted on my screen because everybody was for some reason. It was an issue with I don't know what that issue was. But essentially, I thought that Race Boy left Ghost on because he ran a session before that race where everyone just ran lap times, and I thought he put Ghost on to compare lap times. So when the race started, everyone was Ghost, and I'm like, Race Boy, you idiot! Why'd you leave Ghost on? And it wasn't until Harmonic messaged me saying that was crazy, and I told him that why'd he leave Ghost on? He's like, they weren't on for me, and I'm like, uh-oh. That's when I first found out what was actually happening,
That's awkward.
I mean, the good thing is that if you're in the Forza community and you play at a high level, you could tell that it was a glitch and there wasn't really much I could do about it. But if you're outside the Forza community or you don't really know about all the issues in the game, it looks like I'm just swerving back and forth, just trying to slow them. So I mean, it obviously affects his perception of me and my driving, and it doesn't really matter what I do or how I drive. I mean, I haven't gotten a single penalty in Seattle. I haven't gotten a single penalty in the last week as well. But I
did see that your penalty scores, when they bring up your little profile, your penalties weren't anything excessive. And if you were a deliberately dirty driver or very aggressive, then there'd be something, that it'd be consistent. I don't know. I think Harmonic's got quite a few penalties.
I don't remember what. I think had the second most. I know
Vanquish has a ton too.
Vanquish has a ton? Oh, okay. Might be Vanquish that I'm thinking of then.
Seattle looked
Sorry, Harmonic.
Pretty with all 3 red scores due to penalties.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
The thing is that a lot of people do agree that the penalty system is kind of inconsistent. I don't know if it's because the different marshals have different standards as to what exactly is a penalty and what isn't. Because supposedly, what they tell us is that they can't see anyone's names when it comes to penalties. They see everything, but they don't. The way they have it set up, they can't see someone's gamer tag or their livery. But I think what's happening is that maybe if you get a more lenient marshal that week, you can get away with a whole lot more things than what somebody else might. So I mean, I don't know what it is, but
I mean that's
something that has to improve going forward.
I mean, it'd be nice to have tighter restrictions, on the penalty system, but you'd get that in most real life situations anyway. The marshalling system in real life is exactly the same. It's just a bunch of different people, so their marshalling criteria might change from marshal to marshal depending on how lenient they are. This is more or less the same. So I don't think it affects it too much. I mean, it could be a little bit annoying, but you're constantly getting caught up in penalties and stuff like that due to somebody else's errors. But I think that's probably okay. It's livable.
Well,
it's not ideal, but it's you just have to deal with it.
Well, yeah, the main thing that has to change is the communication part of it. That was a big issue in Series 1 because no one knew, why they even got a penalty in the first place.
Yeah, right.
So
they'll keep it a secret or something.
In Seattle, they were more proactive about it. They did, release official steward's notes on which car got a penalty and why. But obviously, that was in Seattle. We were all there, so we could see, all the sheets, after the race, and we were able to figure out, what was what. They still don't do that when they give a penalty, unless we ask for it through a steward's ticket. And I mean, like, it really, like, it's the way I think it should be done is if someone gets a penalty, like, they have to get a private message from either Race Boy or someone else at Gfinity, or maybe like Dad Shadow. I know he does a lot of Gfinity stuff now. It's a private message from someone and say, hey, you got a penalty here. Here's why. Like, I shouldn't have to go log on to Gfinity and send a support ticket as to why I got a penalty in the first place.
Yeah, that's kind of
Vanquish originally thought that they thought he was cutting or defending. He didn't think that contact with Beck caused it. And it wasn't until he sent a support ticket where he figured that out. But the other thing, but to continue on that, like, I think they also need to, like, show the viewers as to why they got a penalty. Like, -5 for extending, -5 for cutting, -5 for contact.
I think that'd be good because it'll help them understand what we're trying to accomplish here as well. Like, you know, when something goes wrong, the viewer can sometimes be like, I didn't see anything that wrong. But if you point it out to them, it helps for sure.
It gives a lot more context to the situation. It gives a lot more context to the viewers and the casters as well. So, I mean...
Yeah. And I was going to say earlier, going back to Scott Cole riffing into you a little bit, I think it's a little bit of like he just needs content to talk about as well. And it is hard to just feel silence with nothing. So it's like you pick something.
Well, yeah. He has like nothing to work with. I mean, I think he does like, I don't know how many other games, like 5 or 6, something along that.
Well, yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but I know he does a lot. I think I saw with him where like Forza RC was like just one day for him. Like he was basically on flights like literally every single day of the week, just going to different places constantly. So I mean, he has
sounds like a busy dude.
But I mean, so that's why I think stuff like that.
He does a great job for the most part. I have nothing wrong with Scott.
I would agree. I think that the staff that Forza RC does and that they put on, I think they do a good job in terms of the live streams and stuff like that. For in other news in terms of like the Forza RC, we have a couple other highlights. If any of you guys didn't watch the EMEA, here's the first lap of the last race. If you guys want to take a look at this.
Anyway, you saw it coming down to that first
the reverse grid in the
Sauber
C9.
You saw
a
lot of cars get involved. A couple of cars would spin out of this. You see, I think it's
a tight track, and
Wolf
this car is
in the
ridiculous.
middle. And then JSR Rossi kind of spins back in, and you already see some smoke from the tires there, and you see at least 3 spins. There's 7, there's Kaiser Wolf, there's Roadrunner, there's Rossi, all spinning, and you see Rossi making contact with Mitch there. So a lot of stuff happening in that first few corners.
Oh yeah, that looks
I wanna play that again, and I wanna like talk through it because if you guys watch, I think there's.
Are we gonna like reverse engineer this? We're gonna be here like all day.
So look
we could be.
This. I think there's somebody. I think Mitch squeaks through, and somebody else in front of him. I think
Lays does really well to get through here.
Yeah.
He's at the back. You can see everything happening.
4 wide.
Yeah, dude,
who's that?
It was asking for trouble.
Yeah, that's
and then
Box and
just
Mitch
through there, and then
Box and Mitch.
Box, Mitch, and Lage, and Lage just cruise through there unscathed. Although Mitch got tagged, didn't he? By
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he got a bit of a scrape. But gee,
that was insane to watch. I gotta say, and Lage did end up dominating that Wednesday showdown. Check this winning move out as well
on that Mercedes C9. So if you get a little bit of that nose in there, you can cause not only damage, but you can.
That could have easily gone wrong. Easily.
Yeah.
All he would have needed was just nudge him a little bit more, and it would have caused him to win.
Final lap.
There was they like rubbed doors tightly.
Yeah.
There was barely paint traded there. It was amazing.
Yeah, and obviously Lage had a little bit more pace than Zermatt, but Zermatt led every lap except the last one, and he just couldn't hold on to it. And it seems like those EMEA showdowns are just full of like banter, just like complete smacking. Everybody's just going all over the place. You know what I mean?
I think I'm starting to notice a trend with these reverse grid races. They always tend to be in the fastest car out of like all the 3.
Yeah,
I think that's helping there.
Yeah, that's not helping
cleanliness. Yeah,
North America and at Watkins, if you were in EMEA, you have the Sauber C9. That's P class. Let's see. I know there's a few others.
The Lola T70, did you say that one?
Yeah, the Lola,
yeah. That one caused a massive wreck.
We covered that when Billy Sue was on.
The issue is, like some of these cars' hitboxes are really, really weird. I know the Lola's kind of extends beyond the car, or at least it feels like
it's got really weird shapes to it, so I'm sure it's very hard to make that accurate.
From third to second will naturally kick its rear end out and cause it to be unsettled. Also makes it even worse. But the problem is, though, when you're doing reverse grid, obviously you're assuming that the slowest is in the front and the fastest in the back. The problem is, though, is that whenever these cars are together, the faster ones, that's where being fast in them requires, so much more control and so much more precision that maybe some of the slower guys might not have, me included. But, so what happens is that you have these fast guys, they know they have to get in the front, and these slow guys who are just trying not to wreck. And what ends up happening is that they end up bottlenecking together at turn 2 or turn 3 of each circuit, and they just collide and just cause a massive wreck. Because if it's something let's say a touring car, at least the cars go a little bit slower and they're closed bodied. So that means they can take a little bit more punishment, So if someone has to kind of push to get by, they can do that. But if you're using something like the Sauber or the Atlanta, the amount of things that can go wrong if you don't get your exact turning point, your exact braking point, if you don't hit a curb the exact way, if someone in the front makes a mistake, everyone else in the back is going to pay the price for it. So, I think they should really start to begin to do the slower car as a reverse grid race, if not get rid of it altogether, because it's just
Well, I think the reverse grid race is important to see new guys up there and to get those passing points and to give that dynamic. So it's not just Lage on pole, Lage win the race.
I think if they were going to keep that, they should probably make them a bit longer. I know that for ORL, a lot of the series they do where they have to do
1 or 2 laps,
one race, one reverse grid race. The reverse grid race tends to be longer.
Yeah.
So,
but
it does give
I also don't think that slowing the car down is going to make too much of a difference either. Maybe a little bit at that level, but from experience on the Tourer TCC cars, reverse grid's still hell. Every reverse grid race was oh my god, here we go, reverse grid. Yeah, and it always ends in somebody getting punted off.
Well, because you're all using sim steering, and the way you set up the cars, that you always give them the rear arrow. So everybody has cold tires at the start, which causes the car to get super sweaty.
They don't, because we did a parade lap. We warmed up the tires.
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't know, the Lancia and the Buick at
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
At Homestead, opposed to the Sauber. It would still be a bit hectic because the Buick's kind of hard to race and the Lancia kind of slides. But at least the cars won't be going as fast, so the wrecks won't be that bad in terms of people hitting each other. So,
yeah.
If people begin to go 4 wide or 5 wide, you won't be seeing these massive chaotic wreck fests. Because the faster the cars go, the faster they're going to crash, and the more you
that's
crashes. It's simple. Now I don't know if that's what they're going for, because apparently crashes get used. But in terms of the competition, in terms of making it look a lot more clean, I definitely think that this slower car needs to be the reverse grid if they still want it to be a thing.
The reverse grid is the chaos race. It's meant to be that, but we're just gonna have to get used to it more often. Reverse grids are gonna have to come up more often, and people are gonna have to start respecting other people's space and taking it much easier in the reverse grid to get a clean race out of it. It just seems that people want to push, and yes, you can make a lot of spots up on reverse grid at the first 2 laps, because everyone's bunched up together and stuff like that. But if you extend the race, like you say, it'll make people think that they have more time, and they're gonna take a much more progressive approach to the race rather than trying to dive everybody on the first lap and try and make it as many spots as they can.
Yeah,
I think exactly. That's the key. It's not an issue of can these guys pass them. If it's in a reverse grid, it's how fast can you do it and how quickly.
That's right. So if you extend the race, it's going to help that cleanliness of the race for sure.
That's a whole lot more. I
think that the reverse grid is good because it provides an unpredictability to the series. Because you said, it's not like we're going to see the guy on pole running away with it every time, and is it if this guy's a little bit quicker, he just made up 1 position? It's no, we've got the guys who've been
consistent.
The guys who've been consistent all night are now in the back, and they got to work their way forward. And the guys who haven't had much luck are in the back. You like to see them do well up in the front, and it's cool to kind of see, oh, is he going to catch him? Is he going to run out of time? You know what I mean? Like that thing with Harmonic and Billy Sue at Road America with the Lola. Like Harmonic was just running out of time. He was creeping, but he just ran out of time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of that unpredictability and that suspenseful race that we get to see.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would argue that if the reverse grid didn't happen, that battle would still be a thing, and it would still go a similar way. It just wouldn't be out in front necessarily.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be as exciting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be as exciting. That's correct. And then you get to see stuff like Lage going from the back to the front in that race.
Right.
And like unfortunately, Force One went off there as well. Threw away his second race. Unfortunately, had a really unlucky time. Like you said, he was unfortunate, and then he got into the reverse grid race, and he was out in front, and he was winning. And then towards the middle of the race, I think
he had like 3 laps to go, and he binned it going into before the long straightaway at Road Atlanta. Yeah, he threw away 2 race wins out of 3 on
well,
Wednesday
he didn't throw the first one away. The first
one, he just got lagged out. He just got lagged out. But that's devastating, though. Like I can't imagine leading an RC race and then just sorry, internet died.
And he did so well in the Wednesday showdowns. Like he won 3 out of 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Who even does that? Who even does that?
The thing is that like it can happen at any time, and that's what makes the series so stressful. Like even if you're good enough to make it, like just if you DC in like the ghost races, for instance, that's gonna screw with your points. Even though you were good to win, like you'll just get like nothing. And
then you're looking at a bad starting position for the rest
of the
series.
Points the Rivals booster is going to give you because Lage got first in like both the qualifier and the Rivals booster, and he's 26 on the board for Series 2.
Yeah, that's
like if only top 24 was going to Mexico, he wouldn't be going if he just did the Rivals booster. Like he would have to do the races.
Yeah.
So I know another thing that was happening in the community recently was as far as those rival times go. People are using handbrake during the rivals, especially with the Audi. In your opinion, do you think that's a thing that should be banned from the RC event, that to use a handbrake in a rival because most of those cars don't come fitted with one? Or are you an advocate for the game mechanics allow it, so just use it?
I mean, like, I can think of lots of reasons to ban someone from racing in a game for money, but I don't think using LB to, like, use it.
No, I just mean ban the ability to use handbrake.
The handbrake, you mean?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, first of all, I think it'd be very difficult to police because you have to go through telemetry on every single qualifying time.
Yeah.
Depending on how thorough you want to be, all 1,000 times.
No, I'm not saying that. I would think that you can code it into the game to where it disables.
Yeah,
so
I think that's true. Yeah.
So like in the game, you can button map to change to change clutch and handbrake. Why can't you button map to disable clutch handbrake altogether? And then you can mandate that for the hopper. Like you can make it a setting in the hopper, so like you can force all assists off, and there should be an option force off handbrake as well.
Well, maybe there should be an option. We're still sort of deciding that. I mean, I don't know. It is just a simcade. Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Yeah. You would first have to assume that it would work. And I mean, if it doesn't work, that would cause a whole lot of problems. Because if some people had it disabled and some people didn't because the game didn't apply to everyone for some reason, that could be a problem to say the least.
So if it did work, say they implement it into the game successfully to where everybody couldn't use handbrake in the rivals and in the races, do you think that would be a better thing?
I don't really think so, just because I think there's better things to focus on in terms of the game. Because the way that I see it is that if they're spending time and energy figuring out a way to get that to work, they're taking it away from something else. Maybe the telemetry being broken, because the telemetry's been broken since March or April. You still can't see them turn left, and you still have a massive delay on their throttle inputs and braking inputs. Ghosts, when you're doing a free play session, are still only showing your outlap unless you beat your actual time. Yeah. I mean, that's something they've had right since Forza 6 at least, and now all of a sudden they get it wrong in 7. There's still a whole lot of things about this game that really have to fix. So I mean, realistically, I don't think that handbrake should be on a priority. To I don't think it should be a priority to make a way to like ban like handbrake, because it isn't an assist. Like it's not like you can force off line. It's not like you can force off TCS. It's a control. Like, and it's something that every single car has. And I mean, you could argue that, well, they can just go back in every single car and just only have handbrake available to the ones that have an actual handbrake. But you got to go through like about 700, 800 cars.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Realistically, that wouldn't be like.
Well, you don't have to go through them because you know which cars don't have the handbrake, so you just go to those ones. But I understand what you're saying. It's a lot of effort and a lot of work to remake the whole game.
And a lot of research as well, because like one little like misprint could like cause a car that shouldn't have a handbrake to have one.
To have a handbrake.
Realistically, though, if that's the technique that people don't want to use, I think the better solution would be to kind of like reprogram the way the handbrake works. Like make it so that it slides you out a whole lot quicker than it currently does. Because like if you don't want a player to do something and it's game break,
would it?
What you do is
like you still want it to be realistic, though. Do you know what I mean? Like if you have the handbrake on cars, just like slide it out all the way, drifters would get upset because then it changes the whole
exactly.
Dynamic of their game.
Drifters would definitely get upset as well because it's the whole. That's what they use. That's what they use as the handbrake. So I don't think that adjusting the way the handbrake works in an unrealistic way would be a better, beneficial. I personally think it should just.
Well, it depends.
You should
on
not
how
be able to use it in
realistic
RC.
It is because I mean, like. I think many people would argue that the way the handbrake works in the game really isn't that realistic if you can just like spam it. Because like an example I'll cite is that when Vank was just practicing in the what was it? It was the McLaren and the Lotus at Catalunya. He was like literally he told me that like every single corner he just spams the handbrake like 3 to 4 to 5 times. Like just spams.
Yeah, but in
like,
saying that, if you have a hydraulic handbrake, your motion is literally like a, and you can like quickly adjust the handbrake, and that's kind of the same thing as spamming it. So, I mean, that's not too unrealistic.
But I mean, realistically, it wouldn't be a technique you'd be thinking of using in real life. I don't think anybody else I think even if you had like the handbrake in like a race car, you still wouldn't use it because you're sliding out. When you're sliding out, you're losing time. The only time I really see the handbrake being used in drifting is like rallying, but that's to get around like really, really tight hairpins that are like way tighter than what you see on an actual racetrack because they're like complete like 180s. So they like so it's like that's literally the point where you have to like just like slow down completely and just slide your back end around and then go. It's not like a circuit where you have to take like a line and like keep it as straight as possible because you're literally just coming to a stop.
Yeah, I seen in a Civic race though. It was a Civic series in Japan. I think it was like a junior series, and some of the the faster guys were using the handbrake at the apex to turn the car a little bit, and that way they would shoot out of the corner at a straighter line, or like they're trying to deal with their understeer of their car, so they're just pulling the handbrake a little to get it to turn in more. I don't think it's too unrealistic to expect that to be a thing. Like if it's happening in the real world, I can imagine that doing it in the game is fine. Like as long as the car's fitted with a handbrake. When you go to drive it,
the IndyCar thing on
handbraking,
that
did annoy me as well.
Unacceptable.
I was like,
beyond
you want to compete with sim races, you can't expect to have
a handbrake
big
on
inconsistencies
IndyCar.
like that. Yeah, that's
that
right. That's
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, the other thing about that too is that like because that car when it's stock only has like half downforce in the front and half downforce in the rear. Like you're losing like a lot of what the grip you would normally get because in the real world you wouldn't be running it like that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure because like most of the grip from the IndyCar comes from aerodynamics, and if you're taking away the aerodynamics, you're taking away the grip.
I mean, this is opening up a whole other can of worms on like how we all think that those cars in this game don't react quite naturally, quite realistically to their like real life counterparts. Like an Indy car would feel different. And a lot of the other cars, like the Challenger, might drive a little bit differently in some people's opinion.
Because the issue is, I think, as well, when it comes to race cars, is like, okay, well, you're putting it in the game. What tune do you put on it? Like, what are your default settings? Like, I don't know how they figure that out. But I mean, like, that could also open up another like can of worms. This is like how a car handles when you're in the RC, because that's the way you run with it when you're in a competition. Like realistically, though, I mean, like, I think the handbraking issue right now is only like a minor issue when you compare it to like other issues in the game right now, because there's still a lot of other game breaking ones as well. I think power buckets are a glitch that are still there. Like, you know how Tor uses power buckets when it comes to like endurance races. Like,
yeah,
give, like some cars like 5%, some cars 10%. Like, whenever someone new joins the lobby, you have to reset the entire track just to get the power buckets to apply, and then load the track that you had back on. And every time someone joins, you have to do that. Like, there's still other issues about the game that affects like the way that you play it. It affects the way that it can run smoothly. And I mean, I think that the energy that the devs have to use to fix the game should be focused on those kinds of issues rather than banning a handbrake. At least for me.
I like that.
Yeah, and one of the other issues, you know, one of the final topics that we wanted to talk about today was, you know, in terms of the spectate mode, it's subpar to so many other games.
Game.
Yeah, so many other games out there. I've got
it's the worst one.
Yeah, I've got these clips like to show you guys like what other games are doing in terms of their spectate mode, and these clips are muted so we can talk over them. So the first one here is from Assetto Corsa. Now, this, I love the overlay on the bottom. Okay, it's got their position, their gamer tag, the interval between the car in front of them and behind them, and then it also has their best lap time and their last lap time as well as telemetry in the bottom. Okay, in Forza, we don't know who we're on board with unless the ticker on the top shows us when it scrolls through finally, and then it's blue.
Yeah, and you have to like look for it. You have to like take your attention off what they're doing to actually physically look to see who's actually on screen.
Yeah.
Because like if they have the same livery, like I found that when I was watching Lightning or Billy Sue, I wasn't too sure who I was watching until it came up, and I was like, or like one of them passed the other person, or we got a glimpse of the other livery. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So that's one thing that I don't think, and I think the ticker is another problem. Okay, the ticker on the side
is not enough information. A scrolling ticker is not good enough.
No, it should be like the one that you just saw. Here's one from Project Cars 2. This one I think is the best one. It's a little busy that you can see right now, but you can choose everything on the bottom. So if you guys see the bottom,
yeah, that's
like you can choose. So it says trackside. So that's like what you're looking at right now. It looks professional, right?
Yeah.
It
does.
You can turn off like the standings, the overview, the speed, the maps on the right side. You can turn those off if you want, or turn them on.
You have a lot of control over the information. It does look really good.
Exactly. And the thing on the top as well, we know who we're on board with. We know the cars in front and behind, the intervals to them. Okay, we know the laps, and then on the left there's an actual ticker. So, you know, Forza's behind, at least in this area of the thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And look at those camera angles. Like, you can see so much more going on. Some of the Forza camera angles are atrocious. Up close and personal with one car, you can barely see what's going on around them. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Forza replayability.
There's that one with where it's like scrolling on the car right next to it. Like, what is that?
Yeah. I can't see anything. It doesn't show you anything. It doesn't
even show the car next to it.
I see. The Forza RC does a good job of getting around that by like going into like game cam and using the oscillating camera to get a better look around. But that's a lot of work. Somebody has to do that, you know.
Yeah, I think that this next one is the best one in terms of camera angles, and I don't understand why it's so hard to do this. Literally, just do you watch the race on TV and then put the cameras where they are and make them do the same thing? Look at this. This is GT Sport. This looks fantastic.
These angles are amazing for sure. It looks real life. Like the pace seems realistic. You know, I know that the dash there is a little bit plain and a little bit
it's a little too
clinical, but like
busy. But
well, it's not. I wouldn't say it's busy. It's like just enough information. It's telling you exactly what you need to know, but it's just like crisp. It's like, I would say, minimalist.
Like, look at the camera angles though. Like, these are this is beautiful. Perfect. This looks professional.
They're so good.
I like the F1 style with the intervals on the side as well, like their best laps per section. I think that's really good. And you can see
their best laps on the right hand side as well, and that looks really good.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it looks like I just waved on the left hand side of the screen, but I'm sorry, that's my right.
And we get stuff like this from Forza. So you can see the quality is just different. The ticker's different.
The camera angles aren't amazing or like really, really bad, but they don't show enough. Like it really focuses on one person.
Yeah. And those overlays on the bottom, that's from YMTV themselves actually doing the overlays. That's not the overlays in the game. So, like, right now, I don't know who I'm on board with. Who am I on board with right now? I still don't know who I'm on board with. Like, Okay, I can see.
I think
the gamer
we're
top,
on with Lazy Dandy.
Yeah,
we are
so
on with Lazy Dandy, but yeah, it takes a while to get that to happen. And even with the Spotters Guide, like I said, if there's a team going, you can't tell the difference between team drivers. They are too similar in livery. You'd have to look for their number, and that's just like a lot of effort for like just the quick glance at a driver.
Yeah, so I think they can learn some things from the other games. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan? I mean, are we completely wrong here, or I mean, what are you seeing?
Are we too savage?
No,
What's going on?
I definitely do agree. I mean,
yeah.
I actually remember like the very first YMTV stream. Like they streamed like private lobby that a lot of teams did. It was like just S-Class, and we were just all racing, just having fun. But they commented.
Oh, I've seen that one.
And from the start, they were just using. They weren't using like the Forza camera angles. They were just going on chase cam, just watching every individual driver, and they just simply made that format work. So they were the ones that because obviously back then there was no standard when it comes to commentating Forza. It was before even spectator mode was spectator mode was a thing. But their actual like esports update where you had like all like the liveries, like all the not liveries, but I can't think right now. All the names in the top, lap times, split times. I'm trying to think of what else they have. Like damaged tires,
Yeah.
That was before they had all that. I don't know what's going on right now.
I think we just lost Jason.
Australian internet?
No, I think his phone died. So I mean, yeah. So
talking if you want, but yeah, that's something that like it was a limitation that they played through ever since the start, and I mean it ended up working out pretty well because I think like when it comes to like viewing like the races from that angle, I think it works. I mean clearly it does because they kept using it like for so long, but I mean I think you are right. I think it is because of a limitation when it comes to basically being able to tell what's happening at a battle. Like because if I'm like behind a car, like I can like see like I can get like a real time sense of like how far the car ahead is, how far the car behind is a little bit. It's limited information, but at least I'm able to like tell where it is. I think it definitely adds another dimension to like the racing itself. But I would definitely agree with you there that I think Forza does need a better spectate mode. I think the issue is that like Forza, I mean, spectate mode in this game didn't come out until like what was it? I remember now. Yeah, it was March of this year.
Yeah, it took a while. It took a while for it to come out.
And when it first came out, it was basically an even more vanilla version of what we had in 6 before the esports update. And then they were just slowly just adding the stuff that we used to have back in.
Yeah, it took them forever. We didn't even have a ticker at the top or anything like that when it came out on 7. So, yeah. But
7, I mean, they definitely had to like get that out there quickly. Yeah. So I think a lot of things like had to like take an initial sacrifice and just get added later into the game. And what ended up happening was that we just kind of got like a worse version of what we had on 6. Because on 6, like some of the stuff we had was good. They eventually added the ability to like whenever you're on a player, like you'll see their gamer tag, you'll see their best lap time right away. You don't have to worry about scrolling through it. Like it was on like the bottom, I think it was the bottom right hand of the screen. Like it wasn't as innovative as Project Cars is or Settled Courses is, where it's like everybody else is like on like the side and you just see it like in like just one big block. But at least it was something. Here, I mean, we have to kind of like just fight to get everything just re-added what we currently have.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is that like, you know, now that we have like a longer development cycle, hopefully for Forza, considering that their recent tweets they made about like, you know, they're not working on 8, they're going to continue to focus on making 7 a better game. I think we might be able to see that. I don't know if it might be too late for this game, but it could be something for the next game, maybe in like 2020 or 2021 when they release their next console.
Yeah.
Could be.
And hopefully 8's better. But you know, if they continue to upgrade this game, that's fine as well. But you know,
when I was in Seattle, they did kind of seem interested in learning from other games. They did have a PS4 in there. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to say that, right? They are playing around the competition, and they are trying to figure out like what they're doing that Forza isn't.
That's
and
good.
I think a lot of the stuff that I've seen so far, like it's definitely based on other games, like what they're getting right. I think the decision to like, because like even in unrelated things like getting rid of like the loot box system, like following the sport of like Gran Turismo before like they ended up adding it back into their game, but they knew that it was a huge controversy. They're trying to look because Project Cars doesn't have one, Gran Turismo doesn't have one, so now they're thinking, okay, if we want to be like those games, we gotta kind of get rid of this sort of collect the cars mentality. So they're getting rid of that. And I lost my train of thought. But essentially, I'm sorry, it's 12 o'clock in the night. Yeah, it's 12:30 a.m.
Yeah, it's all good. We actually got to do your GTO Mega Hot Lap Challenge, man. So
if you want something that's even worse than my interviewing skills, like watch my Hot Lap. It's fantastic.
All right, so I'm gonna try to do this by myself, guys. So you know, Jason's not here right now. So we're gonna switch over to the GTO Mega Hot Lap Challenge. Here are the current standings for the GTO Mega Hot Lap Challenge. Billy Sue's still holding up top with a 103.016. That's a killer time. Boken and Ajax could not take him down. So we will see how McQueen, or rather should I say THR Skyline, does here. So are you ready, man? Are you ready to do this?
Yeah, man.
All right. Ready up on the screen here.
Yeah, I'll ready up. As soon as it lets me. So do I just like go at it as fast as I can, or do I like just like pause a little bit?
So your first lap's gonna be a sighting lap. So you're just gonna go around and just kind of see if you can, you know, feel out the car and stuff like that. Then you're gonna come back around and you're gonna do the you're gonna land up on that arrow. I'm assuming you know where that arrow is, right? That you've seen in the past streams.
I kind of forgot where that is.
All right, so once you start.
I'll just stop at this straight.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, whoops.
So guys, McQueen, or should I say THR Skyline, I'm never gonna get used to that. He's going to do his sighting lap here, and then he's gonna stop, and he's gonna try to win that full rig setup from GTO Mega. So let's see if he can do it. Get a little bit of onboard. Remember, guys, he is forced cockpit, so he's not in the view that we're viewing right now. But yeah, he's forced cockpit. He's got no line on, so it's RC style. So there's no line, no any assist or anything like that. Are you using sim steering or normal steering?
I'm using normal.
All right, so he's not brave enough to use sim with this car. All right, so slow down here.
Somewhere like around here.
Yeah, so it should be right next to the pit wall on the right side. If you keep,
okay.
Yeah, so it's the far right one. And you should line that up with the top of your dash. So the front of that arrow should line up with the top of your dashboard.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea what you just said.
So the top of the arrow where it kind of triangles to a point in the front, that should be lined up with the top of your dashboard. So you're going to move up about 10 feet. Should be.
Like that? Or should I go a bit more?
Move up more. Definitely move up more. Move up to the end of that. Yep, keep going. Move up to the end of those little squiggly lines on the right side there.
Everything's a squiggly line.
There you go. Yep, right there. That's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now you just went past it. Now you just went past it.
All right. You could have just said that.
Are you backing up? Why? You're just like spinning wheels on my screen.
Can I go?
Just back up like 15 feet.
Well, I'm already going.
All right.
Won't count. I'll get an extra warm-up lap. It's fine.
Okay. Ooh, a slide. If anything, starting up there actually hurt you a little bit. Because you didn't get as much of a launch to the line, yeah.
The thing is, I don't think this would be so bad if this mirror wasn't like in my business.
That's what Boket said. Boket said the same thing. Oh man, that's so funny.
That was too late. Good thing it doesn't count. Alright, now you tell me, where do I go?
Alright, so you're gonna line up, go up to that arrow again, but just, you know, don't, just line up right behind it.
Oh, you mean, okay, you mean the quick stop symbol, alright. I don't see it as an arrow, dude.
Oh, it's like a triangle.
Why'd you call it an arrow?
Is it because it's an arrow.
It's not an arrow.
Oh my god. Oh, not that.
Oh, what?
Not that. There's a triangle up further. Go up further.
I don't see what triangle.
Keep going forward. Just keep going forward. Just keep going forward. Just keep going forward. Keep going. You see those squiggly lines on the right side of the screen?
Oh, like, you mean, is it on the road? Like,
yeah, now stop. Just stop right now. Yep.
Oh, this... I didn't know there were triangles there. Okay, you learn something new every day. Alright, so I just start right here?
Yeah, just back up like 10 feet, and then you're good.
So like that?
Yes, perfect. Alright, go when you're ready. Here we go. Alright, this is McQueen's or Skyline's, excuse me, first attempt. I can't do this. Freaking gamer tag, man.
I'm pretty directionally challenged. I'm not the brightest person in the room, unfortunately.
Oh, slidey. Very narrow line. Lines it out a little bit.
I'm doing this for you, Scott Cole.
Looks pretty good so far. Actually looks like a good lap time. Looks good through the love tunnel. Alright. Hits the apex decently. Sliding.
Jesus Christ.
Trying to get that car into control, dude. The power. Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. I beat Boket.
And he flies across the line at 105.900. You did not beat Boket. Alright, keep going.
Oh,
go around again. You just go around again.
I go around again?
Yeah,
oh,
just like... Why go...
now?
This man... No, just go around again as another sighting lap. Oh my goodness, you just started driving backwards.
Derby, I'm doing this for you.
So yeah, 105.900 puts him below Boket and Ajax.
Alrighty. I think that I lost maybe like about half a second just spinning my wheels on the backstretch.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that feels good.
So remember, just when you come back onto the straightaway, just come back.
Just go on with that triangle, alright.
Yeah.
Dear God, man. Whoever tuned this is a masochist. So, like, right here?
Yeah, that was Jason. Yeah, that's good. Right. Well, you back up. Back up again.
Right here?
Yeah, right there. Yep. Alright, second shot. Here we go. THR Skyline.
I keep forgetting that I have that name, actually. It's kind of hilarious.
Looks good through that corner. Just trying not to spin the wheels, man.
Ooh.
Oh, slidey through there, and he touches the wall. Looks pretty stable so far. Just gotta don't slide it out. Around the corner.
Alright, we're getting somewhere.
Alright, and across the line, 103.845. That's a quick lap. Alright, keep going around. Alright, if you shave off...
My throttle control's on point.
You just need 8/10. Little over 8/10. You gotta beat in 103.016 from Billy Sue to win that freaking rig setup, man. Alright. You gotta line up in the same spot. McQueen's got, oh my god, McQueen. Right. Skyline.
I'm gonna lap on purpose, so that way it doesn't. I want the world to see my pace.
There you go, yeah. Oh, there you go. So guys, Skyline's got one more lap to try to beat Billy Sue. Right now he's sitting third on the leaderboard. Box ran a 103.6, and I believe Billy Sue ran a 103.016. So Skyline's got one more opportunity to to do it. Let's see if he can do it. Alright, coming up to the starting point now.
Alright, there's the triangles. Oh, there's sort of this triangle. Oh. So right here?
Perfect, yep. Alright, when you're ready, man.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing something right. We're getting somewhere.
That's a good launch. Short shifts to not spin the tires up, that's good.
I gotta remember where that wall is.
Oh, that looks good through there. That looks good through that first turn right there. Smooth. That's smooth through there. Billy Sue, be a little nervous, man. Start sweating. Start sweating. Skyline might have you.
Oh, bro, if you could see my split times right now.
Oh, snap. Skyline. Don't choke, man. Don't say the lap time. Don't say the lap time when you cross the line. Going through the love zone. He's looking really smooth right now, guys. I think he might beat him. I think he might beat Billy Sue. He's got one more turn right here. Looks good. Looks good through that section. Nice and smooth. Here he comes. No wheel spin at all. I have to go into a previous race in order to see it. 103.050. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Let's look at the leaderboard. And you just missed it, man. You just missed beating Billy Sue. Wow.
Hey, bro, it doesn't really matter. I'm never ahead of box, so I'll take it.
That's awesome. Take it. That's awesome.
I'll take my 12.5 grand now.
12.5 grand. Sweet, man. Well done though. Well done. That's pretty awesome. That's a great lap time. You almost beat him. So close. So close. So close.
It's about maybe, I would say, 5 seconds better than what I was gonna go for.
You thought you were gonna win 108s?
I thought I was gonna hit 108s, dude. I didn't test this car out before.
No one did. No one did. Sweet, sweet. Well, shame that Jason had to lag out. Or at least have his stuff done.
He almost went history.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on to the show, man. Appreciate it. Guys, if you want to follow him, I'm sure he's gonna be at THR Skyline. Will be his new Twitter handle.
Something like that.
Yeah. Not what you see on the screen. anyways, if you guys want to follow Off the Track as well, we are at Off the Track Show. McQueen again, or Skyline. Dude, that's going to kill me. I'm going to be doing that for the next
call me
week.
Ryan, bro.
Ryan.
You can call me whatever you want.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure having you, and good luck in the rest of RC, man.
Thanks. I'm gonna need it, bro.
All right, guys. My name is Davey, also known as GTR Kicker. Thank you so much for signing on to the show. I will see you guys next week. We have Alan Walsh coming on next week, the contributor for Full Throttle Media. Does a lot of the Turn 10 coverage as well. So you guys are not going to want to miss that episode. Get some of his takes on Gfinity and stuff like that. So guys, definitely not going to want to miss that. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.